There were prophecies that talk about also a false prophet coming. It's in the scriptures as well that there would be a false prophet. Many saints have suggested that false prophet would be a pope. I don't think we've had a better contender than Pope Francis. And what will that mean? We won't know until the false prophet were to point to like an antichrist and say that that's God. That's the ultimate. Have you ever heard of that prophecy? What do you make of this idea? Have you ever heard of the idea that Francis might be the false prophet?
I've heard it, and I wouldn't even for 2 seconds claim to be an expert on it. One thing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, one thing that I always understood about this false prophet is he was going to be something like Felsenburgh in the Lord of the World, where he was going to be so brilliant and so incredible that everyone, as the prophecies say, even the elect will be deceived.
That's for Antichrist himself.
Yes, exactly. So I would apply the same thing to the false prophet.
Okay.
There's going to be a deception that's going to fall. Everyone's going to fall for it. What I've noticed with Francis is from the moment he got in, nobody's fallen for it. Now you have the Nancy Pelosi's and you have those terrified bishops who are too afraid to resist him. But think about, and this maybe you talked about my years of experience. I have never seen greater unity. I mean, Raymond Arroyo and Robert Royal and Father Murray sound like Remnant columnists now over there on EWTN, which used to be Neo-Catholic Central. I've never seen so much agreement that we have a massive problem in the church. So again, if you can correct me on that if that's not at all any part of the false prophet prophecy. But it seems to me that Francis has done just the opposite of what the false prophet is supposed to do, and that's deceive the world, set up for the Antichrist. Instead, everyone's going, what is going on in Rome? You know how when we were kids we learned that a priest who loses the faith, and it's an interior thing and he's not malicious at all, but he still wills to do what the church wants him to do with respect to the Mass. Yeah. But that Mass is still valid. Mm-hmm. So it would be a question of how cognizant is Francis of the errors of his ways? Is he just thinking in his mind that he wants to be pastoral and get divorced and remarried and gay people feeling better about themselves so they can come to the Lord? Well, I mean, I don't think so. But it's difficult to know for sure. So when you talk about conversion, you need to come back fully to a full appreciation of what it means to be a Catholic. And I think that's what Cardinal Muller and some of the others are saying, that this is not Catholic anymore. You need to stop. But that doesn't necessarily mean he has lost his office or he's ceased membership in the church because he's wayward for a time. Like, we have to give even the Pope the time for the grace to work on him. That's why it's so important that we pray for him, that he might convert and come back. And if he converts and comes back like John the 22nd did, or like Pius IX, they thought he was going to be a liberal, instead he can. Well, this would be a wonderful, beautiful thing. So we do have to pray for the Pope, because if he came back and thwarted the efforts of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and everybody else, well, that's a massive victory for us. So I agree with Bishop Schneider that we should pray for him to convert fully to an understanding of what it means to be Catholic.